Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Professor Quaynor. Good morning to Dr. Barry, to my fellow panelists, as well as for those of you dedicated souls who are here for the last plenary session. It is indeed an honor for me to have this privilege to share with you some ideas about how WACREN can harness the collective energies of member RENs in order to better facilitate communication to audiences about this important work that's taking place, as well as the tremendous potential for our future. Over the week, we've heard a lot of technical discussions, and it's quite natural because at this stage of the game, it's critical that the NRENs community has the information to build and maintain infrastructure. It's also critical and very appropriate at this stage that it would be important. We would unable to be able to recognize the power of REN without the technical expertise to build this infrastructure as well as to maintain it. But as we move towards the more mature REN, as well as move towards the provisions of services and applications, the challenge remains, or the challenge becomes, how do we extend beyond that primary technical base? How do we reach out to the communities identified by Canada yesterday, which will include end users, which will include academic communities, which will include research institutions? How do we reach out to them to ensure that they can participate fully and that we are able to ensure that the infrastructure is not underutilized, as well as ensure that the creation and storage of regional digital content from all disciplines are accessible to the worldwide academic research communities. So in many ways, what I'm going to be talking about today builds on the important work that started with Tandem, talking about advocacy, talking about services, talking about building community. But my emphasis here will be, well, how do we sustain these efforts long after Africa Connect 2, long after Tandem? We have to work on solutions that will take the responsibility for communication at the local levels. So that will be the emphasis of what I will be talking about today. I have three simple arguments, and the arguments are that first, we have to focus on approaching wider target audiences. The second is that we have to employ communication strategies that take into consideration both traditional media as well as new media. And finally, I'm actually proposing a network solution that wouldn't overtax individuals in this room who are the network infrastructure or the infrastructure for most of the RENs. You don't have excessive resources. A lot of you are functioning with the bare minimum staff and volunteers. So I'm not proposing a solution that will require significant additional budget, but I'm proposing a solution that will help you to work with existing networks to get your messages out to those key publics. So WACREN's success depends heavily on involving stakeholders who are not only building the infrastructure, they're also the ones who are funding it, as well as the ones who are going to be the users. Now, Dr. Barry outlined several models for funding RENs. And the current theme has been the idea that in order for RENs to be sustainable, we have to look beyond donor funding, international donors. We have to think about how we can have government participation. We have to think about how we can have increased funding from the local communities as well. Now, one of the target publics that we're identifying is actually the national governments. Yesterday, one of the speakers spoke about the importance of the national governments, not only in terms of ensuring that the conducive conditions exist for legislation, but also ensuring that appropriate funding would be allocated. But as another speaker mentioned as well, we have to be careful about relying too heavily on the government for funding, because there are some restrictions that not all governments are the same. Some will actually require some restrictions that may not give you the autonomy that you seek in that arena. A communication strategy which targets governments may also benefit from raising public awareness. The more the general public is aware of the benefits of REN and the capabilities, the more likely they are to actually advocate for the funding. So it's really critical that we not only inform the governments, we inform public communities because of the symbiotic relationship between the two. And there also needs to be the campus-wide sensitization, drawing in additional audiences to participate in REN. And earlier this week, we had a wonderful example about how NRENs can benefit the scientific community. In fact, many of the presentations dealt with this topic, not only in terms of building infrastructure, but in terms of how we can use this, how end users can use the technology effectively. And the Tandem survey, I think, is wonderful in the sense that it's really shifting the focus away from the infrastructure and moving it towards the end user, where we actually need to be as these services come into play. And Tandem identified a series of research areas that, from the survey identified a series of research areas where people are interested in how our NRENs can actually facilitate their work. So again, emphasizing the importance of moving beyond the technical fields. I'm not sure which one to. Is this the bottom? Sorry, I apologize. I can't figure out the language. Yes, and I apologize for that. So the first argument is that we actually need to reach out to extended audiences. The second argument is that we need to think about communication from both the perspective of traditional media as well as new media. And when I'm talking about traditional media, I'm not talking about the actual medium, for example, of radio, television, or film. I'm talking about the way in which we operate in traditional media. One is actually traditional media tends to be quite centralized. So you can actually go to one location and find a wealth of information. In this community, that maybe there are a number of websites. There are discussions about the Case for REN is one website, Ubantu.net has another website, Tandem has a website, Africa Connect 2 websites. And this is a way of really mass distributing content, for example, through newsletters or through a wealth of information in order to reach communities who are already demonstrating interest in RENs. So this is an important part of the communication mix. But we also, as we try to attract new users, it's important to think about a more decentralized strategy, meaning that we have to capture the attention of new users in a way that will actually draw them in and hopefully move them towards being sort of that base foundation of people interested in participating in the community. And how this is often done effectively could be one through streamed multi-platform distribution of content. It was great to see over the last couple of days people tweeting about things happening in the conference, things on Facebook, some comments and wonderful photographs. It was wonderful to see that. But again, one of the challenges would be how do you reach out beyond this niche audience of people here who are already motivated to learn about these technologies? And I think partnering with some social media influencers would be a good first step. When we're thinking about building content for new media, we have to think in quite different ways. We have to think about making our content more visual. We have to think about making our content more concise. We have to think about making our content more shareable. Because a number of people who are active on social media probably won't go and read a complete newsletter, or they may not read a complete article posted on a website, but they may have access to short shareable media that can actually inspire them to learn more about what's going on in the REN community. Now, communication campaigns actually succeed more often when they can actually motivate their audiences to act in addition to just gain knowledge. By focusing on organizations, what organizations want their audience to do, communication strategies have a more effective measure of success. successful campaigns, particularly social media campaigns, define an impactful act that audiences can engage in. The act should be more than simply to click, share, and comment. Now, I'm going to give you an example that many of you may be familiar with. How many of you are familiar with the Ice Bucket Challenge? Anyone? Ice Bucket Challenge? Yes. So the Ice Bucket Challenge actually raised $150 million for ASL research from 1.4 million donors within the first year of its implementation. This was actually 5 times as much of the money that they rose the previous year before the challenge. It would be wonderful if you could raise $150 million for REN communication, but I know that may not be maybe a little unrealistic. But really, just based on what happened over the week, there was the Open Science Workshop where you were requested to sign a declaration supporting open science. And a few people signed the declaration so far, but a lot more could sign the declaration. But imagine if we took it a step further. We asked people to not only sign the declaration, but maybe make a 30-second, 60-second video encouraging other colleagues to sign the declaration and also to do the same, to share what is actually happening here within the community. Again, you may not get 1.4 million people to sign and donate money, but you will expand the community who is participating in the REN Society. Now, I know that many people will say, oh, there's so many barriers to really getting mass audiences excited about REN. And there are some barriers, but I think there's some strategic ways in which we can overcome some of those barriers. And one of the areas you find a lot of work going on right now in university advancement offices. 20 years ago, you really did not see these offices within the REN community, within the African university community, particularly in West Africa. But through these organizations, partnering with these organizations can help in a number of ways. We can have access to a list of philanthropists. We can have ability to organize donor drives. We can have abilities to solicit alumni support. And you don't have to think of these as major dollars, I guess, because when you see grants for 26.6 million, you think that we can't possibly meet even the 20% of that. But again, if you think in terms of smaller projects, that again would be, you can think in terms of teaching and learning initiatives, smaller projects that you can fund with the help and support of the university community, philanthropists who serve the university community, as well as alumni. You can get a lot more mileage for your communication. Now, I talked a little bit about the audiences, the need to target broader audiences. I talked a little bit about the importance of using a strategy that sort of balances new and old media. But it's also, I want to talk a little bit about what this network solution is. Again, it's not designed to overtask the RENs. I know that they have a lot of responsibilities managing the training and the technical side of things, but it's designed to reach out to organizations who are already meeting the communication needs of the university community, a key target audience, to inform, use existing challenges. These challenges could be student media, the channels can be student media, the channels could be, for example, university communication, alumni magazines, reaching out to those networks to actually having your message consistently portrayed in those communication metrics. So briefly, some of the responsibilities that I think, and again, I'm trying not to be too prescriptive because I know each institution is very significantly different and could manage this differently. But basically, if WACREN can work with the NRENs to help them identify a communication strategy and identify the specific audiences that they would like them to target, as well as coming up with goals for implementation and a strategy for assessing these communication strategies for continuous improvements. I mean, that will do a lot in terms of helping WACREN maintain its website and training. And on the INRAN side, they can actually work with local partners. Mass communication, that the partners are a natural fit because often they have student media already targeting key audiences on campuses. The advancement offices will be another. There are several others that I didn't highlight here today. Another importance of mass communication audiences as a partner is the fact that they are actually responsible for building content, multimedia content. A lot of production is occurring in the mass communication departments, and this will be an excellent opportunity for students to gain experience to market the RENs to the wider community. Let's skip that. So Network Solution does a number of things. First, it helps to share resources to better inform publics. It helps to document research, what's going on, what your aspirations are. This will not only be done in terms of written knowledge, they can actually produce documentaries featuring the academic staff, really leading the way in terms of innovations. It can help build sustainable media. How many of you have started a social media network for an organization and you just flatline because it was so difficult to keep up with the content and engage your audiences in a meaningful way? It can also help to improve teaching and learning because, again, it offers practical experiences to a number of disciplines. And again, finally, it'll help to strengthen partnerships with key audiences. This is just a simple model of how this can work, and again, not trying to be prescriptive. There's several ways in which this can look. But one, I think, if the NRENs at the national level can take some responsibility for communicating locally, we can't expect WACREN to communicate to the entire audiences that we're trying to target. And then if the NRENs cannot expect to do the work themselves, but to identify maybe one university to pilot the idea to be responsible for developing more content surrounding NRENs for mass publication, as well as for distributing online content. Again, I talked a little bit more about advancement offices, so I'm not going to talk much more about that right now. I'll just move on to the conclusion. The conclusion is that this idea already aligns with WACREN's philosophy of collaboration, of cooperation, of taking responsibility within the region for meeting their goals and objectives. It challenges the NRENs to take responsibility for gathering and disseminating news. Again, not making them the reporters themselves, but hopefully they can partner with other people within the community who are already reporting, who are already looking for news to actually ensure that we have better coverage. It can help chronicle the history of the development and aspirations of REN through documentaries and other sources. And finally, it can help to nurture the technical talent to support teaching and learning initiatives, and by developing talent which can actually create the multimedia learning objects necessary to make this successful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we'll open for a few questions, maybe 2 or 3. 2. Thank you. Yes? Or it's so very clear that we have comments. In that case, I'd like to hear the comments as well. Okay. I have one. So now, I thought all of us tweet, all of us communicate. So what does it really mean in this sense? That you have to coordinate all of us or find a channel by which we communicate through?
Yes, all of us tweet and all of us communicate. But again, all of us, when you look at your tweets, how many followings, how many retweets do you get? What could be some strategies to maximize those numbers? And those strategies could be really looking for influencers within the community. There's some tweets that you get from people that are just replicated several times or retweeted several times. How can you build relationships with some of those people? Because people listen to social media influencers. And that would be one way of ensuring that you have reached a larger audience.
And still, I come back to the community. One more question or one more comment. Otherwise, I'll call somebody. Usman. Okay, go ahead.
My question is, in your slide you put WACREN activities and NREN activities. In NREN activities, I don't see training. Do you think in local NREN activities don't do training?
Okay.
Only for WACREN?
Okay, no, I thought what I meant was maybe WACREN can organize training around this topic for all of the NRENs. And it doesn't have to be physical workshops. It could be probably some online resources to guide them through the process to help them to maximize their efforts for communication. So the training, I said, it may, and again, this is not really prescriptive, it's just one idea of how this could look. They can actually lead in terms of helping the NRANs to come up with a better strategy for training individuals about how they can be more effective reaching their target audiences.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause. Okay, I'd just like to verify if the following two persons are back in the room. Stephan, Magya, if you are, please join us in the... thank you. And is Issa Traoré also here? Please join us here as well. All right, we'll move on. And I think in this case, Stephan has already offered to get to the front. Please try and stay within 10-15 minutes because we are running out of time and then we can take some questions. So Stephan, will be telling us about an E-Readiness survey and it's about knowing your customer. So please go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Stephan from Telnet. For those who don't know Telnet, Telnet is Tanzania Education Research Network. It is earned from Tanzania. Was formed in 2007 and officially registered as a trustee in 2008. The main goal was to create a platform to enable research institutes and higher learning institutes to share resources. Yes, I'm happy. Yes, I'm happy to share with you this E-Readiness survey, which was done by Telnet, October to December 2015. 14, sorry. So I will pass through this content: introduction, survey objective, survey methodology, key findings, and conclusion. So 14, the Telnet decided to conduct a E-Readiness survey for aim of understanding the actual ICT status in the institute all over the country. So they decided to create questions that's based on the targets, what they want to achieve. According to Center for International Development, Harvard University, ERIN is a degree in which community is prepared participating to networked world. So we would like to know how our community or how our universities are ready in terms of infrastructure and skills to participate in this networked world. And our aim was to find of this result of key findings was to help us, to guide us on how are we going to serve this community or these institutes in general as ERIN. Survey was funded by INASP, International Network for Availability of Scientific Publication. And this survey was created to focus on 10 indicators, which was grouped into 4. As we see: internet access, networked campus, networked learning, institutional ICT strategy, which is policy. The objectives was the Donna's assessment on e-learning to Tanzania high learning institutes and research institutes. Also to identify the critical issues which Telnet can use can help these institutes in order to share these resources or to participate in the network world, as in the research to look on how can they access the publications, and in the education to help students to get material from other institutes, from one institute to another, to share different materials. And the last one was to take these key findings to disseminate to the stakeholders for, I think, for future plan, even for us, it helps us to make a future plan for our service to the institutes. Questionnaire was designed by eternity staff as a methodology of capturing this, capturing what we needed, and it was designed to capture these areas, awareness of terminate and control in the institute all over the country. Control is consortium of Tanzania universities libraries, and also to know how this institute manage their institutes. So we would like to know the management issues, finance, technical part, on how the technical staff of these institutes are scaled. So the question was designed, and we visited most of the university, but we visited 74 institutes, and some, not all institutes were visited. Some we sent emails, but most of them we visited physically. So 32 of them responded. So our key findings was based on this 32 institutes which we responded to the survey. So the key findings was as follows: 62% responded that they know control, 84 are aware of terminate, but the question was not designed to help us to know which are active member and which are not active. But the good thing, if a big percent of them, they know this institute, it's easy for them to join if we are not active members. On the internet access, we focused to look on the internet availability, internet affordability, and the speed and quality of the internet. And the key findings, as we see, 13% were taking internet from Internet, but the rest were taking to other ISPs, while majority they are taking from TTCL. TTCL, this is Tanzania telecommunication company, the biggest company in Tanzania, telecommunication company in Tanzania. Two of the campuses, they respond that they take size of 10 GB and 20 GB respectively per month, and the rest they take average of 4.7 Mbps speed. In short, the bandwidth is not adequate for this university because this 4.76 megabits per second, that does not they don't depend on the number of users, just they give to the institute. So in general, the internet is not enough. And another problem that led to not receiving good internet or not utilizing internet to the maximum is because of the network, campus network, LAN. Local area network of these campuses is not well designed. So this also is another problem that we found is in some of the campus. This is captured from the analysis that we have made, because after the data was collected, it was uploaded to the online database, and these forms were generated in form of statistics. So this is one of the overall performance of the respondent. It seems 50% of them, they say the network performance is good, and some they say it's satisfactory. This is another captured what kind of transmission media this campus use. It seems 54% of them they use fiber, and the rest they use some copper, some mixed, some wireless, as shown on the graph on the program. On the respondents, they say 81 of them, they respond that they have campus network, well campus network. 75, they have wireless network access. So this shows that most of the universities, they have at least a campus with a network that they can start to share resources even within the campus. This was to capture how the backbone configuration or backbone network was designed. Many of them, 77, they says was the backbone network was well rooted, as we see. But also there was a question to see if they needed to re-infrastructure the network. So 75 respond that they would like to re-infrastructure their current network. So there are some questions were based on the services. So most of them also they say they have some service, and many of them they say they have student management systems, but system like e-library or online learning system they don't have. So we captured like we have more things to do in services on part of systems. Okay. In enhancing education FST, here only one university they have put e-learning on their curriculum. This is Open University of Tanzania. Most of them they don't have library system. 84 of them they have researchers, and 81% of the researchers they have access to journals and publications. And these are some of the reasons that they say the reason that they couldn't access online publications. So 75 of them they say problem was ICT infrastructure, and others are internet speed. Only 59 indicate they have ICT policy, although most of them are outdated. So this was very hard for them to plan and plan for budget and everything in ICT issues. So finally, we captured that in the management there are problem of budget. So they say they couldn't implement a lot of things or some of the systems because of the budget. And in technical, we found that there is a problem in capacity, in skills. In conclusion, after we have done the survey, we found that there is a lack of technical competence. There is no, because they say they have well local area network, but they really need to be infrastructure. So there is no well local area network for high performance, I can say, network, and there is inadequate internet bandwidth. So what we did, firstly, we start with this service we call DEA, Direct Engineering Assistance to the institutes. So we are helping them to re-infrastructure their network, and I think this is in progress. Thank you.
Okay, are there some questions or comments? Yes, I hope I'll get one. Okay, perhaps you will have a chance to ask it later. So let's thank him for his presentation. We asked a question. I think our next presentation will be on the online resource for teaching on physical meteorology. That will be done by Jegede. Please try and be around 10 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adewale Ajao. I'm a lecturer at the Department of Physics and Engineering Physics of Meteorology University, Nigeria. I'm going to be talking about talking on OAU-METLINK, which is a package for teaching of physical meteorology in the Nigerian universities. Firstly, I would like to give credits to the following people who have contributed to the development of this paper, because it's a paper, so I appreciate them. Of course, I want to talk about the atmospheric physics research group. The group comprises of both academic staff and technical staff. We are 8. And of course, our guiding philosophy is actually the high quality research that is through the deployment of research grade instrumentation. And that philosophy has actually drawn us support both locally and internationally from those institutions and institutions on the slide. We have the ongoing research projects that we have been undertaking for about 25 years, like Nigerian micrometeorological experiments from 2004 to date. We have been engaging in the study of surface mass, momentum, and the energy exchanges. And of course, at present, we have the Dynamics Aerosol Chemistry Class Interaction in West Africa, OAU as an institution with other 14 institutions across Europe. We are engaged in an European Commission funded project that has since kicked off in 2013, and it's going to run till 2018. So then we also have the surface energy balance. So we have been undertaking studies on that, turbulent characteristics in the surface layer. Presently, a colleague who is on his PhD is probing the nocturnal low-level jets in the boundary layer. There's another colleague who is also on his PhD trying to model the dispersion of air pollutants. Within the group, we have 15 master's degree students, and we have 8 PhD students. Yes, these are the topics that are offered in the physical meteorology, the surface and atmospheric radiation, cloud microphysics, and atmospheric thermodynamics. So these are the courses that we take as students in physical meteorology. And of course, these are designed on issues, essentially covering description of the processes, detailing physical phenomena, describing the state of the atmosphere. Yes, conceptualization. The fact that in atmospheric physics research group, we want our students to have better understanding of the courses that we teach, that is courses in physical meteorology that we teach in OAU. So we have thought of ways of helping them to have better understanding of these topics. And aside that, we study our students a lot. We have seen that some of these students are weak, and to help them, to strengthen them. Of course, for example, you have a student attending a class, and when he leaves, he gets to his hostel, and the next thing is that he drops his notes somewhere. Imagine such a student will not pick up the notes until the next class. And so, for weak students like that, so one of the ways that we thought we could help is by having online resources like this. And then another thing is that we also realize that some of our students, they spend more time on their computers and their Android, smartphones. So, okay, with that, we can actually help them. So, and of course, due to lack of relevant meteorological data to accompany the coursework, so then for self-teaching, as a self-teaching tool and resource for our students, the independent or remote platform, that's what the OAU-METLINK actually is. And it's an online, a web-based thing, likewise a mobile platform. And of course, similar resources exist. But OAU-METLINK is geared towards, it's geared specifically for the tropical West African scenarios. That's within the latitude bands of 44 to 15 degrees north. Value-added services. OAU-METLINK provides value-added services, like responsive and quality-based web design, an online processing for students of specific tasks. It's a periodic push notifications, that's SML alert. Then user registration for students. And tutors can easily monitor students' performances in class. So then regular updates of the curriculum. From the home page of the university, one can easily navigate. That is, on the home page, you just click on the website of the the site of the meteorological station, and it takes you directly to the menu where you have the OAU-METLINK, and this will take you. Well, clicking on this will actually lead you to the package. The architecture. Let me start from here. Community of researchers, which could either be scientists, students, lecturers, and other researchers from any institution in the world, can reach us through our gateway, as OAU-REN or NGREN, and any request that is coming actually gets to us through this gateway. And then, for example, of course, how this works. This is the engine of OAU-METLINK. This is the engine. Say a student that has some data that is interested in a particular topic here, as they are listed here: atmospheric thermodynamics, cloud mechanics, microphysics, and atmospheric stability. So flats A to E, as we have under the legend. So if a student is interested in, say, atmospheric radiation, the B1, so what he does is just to click on B, and from there, that request comes directly to the engine. But before that, a question is asked. The student, do you have data? If the student says, yes, of course I have data. So that request will bypass this loop, and then it comes directly to the determination of a physical meteorology. So any topic of interest selected, the engine asks the student to supply data, and the data comes directly here. So this is where the determination of the physical meteorology parameter that the student is interested in is actually done. From here, then it goes directly to the next stage, which is where we have verification, validation, and interpretation of such. And from there, if the results that is gotten is satisfies the student, if the student is satisfied, it concludes successfully. Otherwise, it repeats itself. But if data is not available, and the student is also interested in knowing about a topic, so what he does is to send request directly to the meteorological data preprocessor. So the preprocessor has all those variables, like maybe temperature, humidity, that the student requires to determine a particular meteorological variable. So the request comes here, and within the meteorological processor, those parameters are supplied, and then goes to the next stage. And from here, the met parameter, the parameter that the students want to determine, determination is done here, goes that just like the first stage, the first one, it comes directly here, and then it concludes. Otherwise, it repeats itself. But if after all that, the student has done that, the student is not able to have the expected result, and then the system aborts. A good example is this. Of course, this is an environmental problem that the whole world has been trying to solve: air pollution. Now, let's say a student is interested in determining plume rise. From here, this is a stack, and from this where the plume or the effluent is actually escaping. So the students want to know what the height is from here, how rise it is from here to this edge. So, of course, the MET processor will require students to supply the following atmospheric variables. And from there, of course, this is the MET preprocessor. Those variables are here. It gets, just like I explained earlier, so it gets directly to where the determination is done, and then the results are actually here. So, for example, temperature and humidity. Once the system asks the student to supply atmospheric variables, and is not able to, of course, so it sends request here. Those parameters are supplied here, gets to this list where the determination of the atmospheric variable is done, and you have this point like and maybe Bowen ratio is to be determined. So the student is required to supply temperature and humidity, or if sensible, heat flux is determined. So you have all these ones to be supplied. Otherwise, the MET processor supplies those. And then the next thing is empirical relationships, that is where those parameters are brought together. So it's done around here. And Bowen ratio that is expected, which is the result, is actually what the student gets here. Yes, plume line calculations. Yeah, depending on the strength of the wind, be it weak or strong, so the plume lines can actually be divided into two. That's the top height configuration or the bent over configuration. And at the end of the day, what the students have is the plume lines that is actually trying to determine. Yes, OAU-METLINK is coming on the mobile platform. It's under test. Of course, because we want to help our students. So it's linked to the website and for regular updates, and push messages to mobile phones, and can function without the internet connectivity. I want to thank you all for your attention.
Is there a question or comment? While you are thinking about it, let me shoot one. I'm very interested in how students obtain the data. What kind of instrumentation and measurement-based things are they currently using to obtain the data?
Okay, to obtain data that is that could be used, we have sensors. That's at our meteorological station. The group has a meteorological station that it's managing, where it belongs to the university. So we have sensors that are placed, and they are running, capturing data. So students that are placed on a particular topic or project gets to the station. Of course, he must have been taught how to do those things. That's part of the instrumentation. He gets there. He requires such data for any project that is on. But like the OAU-METLINK, if such data is not available, and the student is also interested in knowing about a particular topic in physical meteorology. So the essence of the MET processor is once the student specifies the topic, so the MET processor will supply data. For example, if around here now the temperature is 27, and then the humidity, and those are the two parameters that the students need to determine Bowen ratio, and it does not have data available with him. So what he does is to send request to the MET processor, or a command to the MET processor, okay, do this, calculate the Bowen ratio. So the MET processor will now supply values of temperatures and humidity, and those values will go into the area where the determination is done. But if at the end of the day, the results that is supplied by the machine, the set is not satisfied, it takes it back again. That's why I said it either concludes successfully or it repeats itself.
So I assume soon you can predict the weather. Anyway, let's thank him and move on. Thank you very much. Sorry. Oh, go ahead.
Hello. I just have a question about, I don't know much about meteorology, but I suppose what happens in West and Central Africa is also dependent on what is going on in Northern Africa or Eastern and Central Africa or in other parts of the world, like, I don't know, maybe not in your plume rise example, but in cloud formation and this sort of thing. Does your platform integrate global data, or are your students able to access global data or compare them meteorological models to other models in other parts of the world if they want to get some learnings from other regions, for example?
Okay, let me answer that question by saying this package is on evaluation, it's still under test. It's made available for our students and then our sister universities. So within the local region we're having it, but we have planned actually to, that's why I said community of, the architecture, that's a community of users, could be researchers from any other part of the world. So it's under test. We have not made it something that is, but it could actually be used for such. That is, data from other countries could be compared with what we have.
Well, thank you very much. I think our last presentation is from Issa Traoré. He informs me that he's modified his topic slightly, but it's still in the same domain of private clouds performance. Let's welcome Issa.
le président du WACREN, qui est président de cette séance. Permettez que je présente mes slides en français. Apparemment, je suis le seul rescalpé de la journée, parce que tout le monde a présenté en anglais. Peut-être le titre au moins pour faire plaisir aux anglophones. Virtual Private Cloud Performance Investigation on Education Network, SDN Technology. Alors ma présentation va s'articuler autour de 5 points. L'introduction, je vais présenter brièvement le cloud computing et également la technologie SDN qui est un nouveau paradigme dans le domaine des réseaux. Et je vais essayer d'expliquer comment mettre en place un tunnel SDN et nous allons conclure. Alors, le cloud computing, on en parle beaucoup. Alors, c'est un réseau qui se fait à la demande, c'est-à-dire un NRN ou une entreprise qui a besoin de mettre en place un réseau peut faire une demande à un opérateur de cloud pour avoir, par exemple, un routeur, tous les services, des applications, des serveurs, des routeurs, des switches. Il commande à la taille de son entreprise pour le bon fonctionnement des services. L'avantage de cette technologie, c'est qu'il y a la possibilité du déploiement qui est presque automatique. Dans une journée, on peut créer et vous faites les configurations. Les données peuvent être partagées, les calculs sont particulièrement puissants parce que tout se fait dans le cloud et on fait la demande en fonction des besoins, comme je l'ai dit au début. Il y a également un accès libre ouvert aux clients. On peut toujours augmenter la taille du cloud ou diminuer en fonction de nos besoins et des possibilités qu'on a. Les inconvénients résident essentiellement dans la sécurité. En général, quand on parle de cloud, c'est au niveau de la sécurité, surtout qu'il y a des problèmes. Et il y a également des marges de manœuvre de l'offre, parce que le client n'a pas tout à fait la main libre sur un certain nombre de choses. Et très souvent, il y a des méfiances parce qu'on ne sait pas où se trouvent les données dans le cloud. Et donc, généralement, on parle de cloud privé, de cloud public. Et la plupart des entreprises optent pour le cloud privé. Alors ici, par exemple, c'est un exemple d'architecture, ou bien de plan de cloud, où on a le service cloud qui se trouve à gauche, ici. Et là, nous avons des institutions, ça peut être des NRN, qui vont faire des demandes de routeurs, de switches pour construire les réseaux dans le cloud. Ici, nous avons eu une NRN qui a fait la commande et on a des fermes serveurs qui sont construits avec des pare-feux pour sécuriser au moins au niveau des utilisateurs et le NRN peut avoir d'autres réseaux. La partie violet et la partie violet est un réseau qui est un peu hors du réseau général qui est vert et cette institution peut fonctionner. C'est une solution parce que souvent dans les NRN, il y a des difficultés de construire des intranets et même le réseau général du pays. Alors, les routeurs ont plusieurs fonctions dans le cloud. La technologie SDN donne une opportunité d'optimisation des routeurs. Et au niveau de ces routeurs, il y a des fonctions de réseau nécessitant de gros calculs. Alors, l'intégration des technologies BGP, IPv6, VPN, la sécurité, et tous ces systèmes sont calculés au niveau des routeurs. Les services professionnels vont un peu plus loin en gérant même l'exploitation et le système d'exploitation du routeur pour des fonctions bien précises. Il y a l'optimisation du routage lui-même. Au niveau des routages, il y a le calcul du meilleur chemin pour acheminer les paquets d'un routeur à l'autre. Et tous ces calculs se font au niveau d'un routeur. Alors donc ici, j'ai résumé dans ce schéma les trois plans d'un routeur. Il y a le plan application, il y a le plan de contrôle et il y a le plan des données. Alors donc le plan des applications, c'est comme des applications qu'on a sur Windows ou bien Linux. Et le système d'exploitation, généralement sur Cisco, c'est iOS, et je crois que c'est Junos sur Juniper. Alors donc ce système d'exploitation sera en quelque sorte la push qui va gérer un peu les applications qui sont au-dessus, en rouge. Et en bas, il y a le plan des données où va se faire les calculs, la topologie, le transfert de données et la gestion du matériel. Alors donc toutes ces données qui sont gérées par le routeur rendent un peu le travail compliqué. Quand le réseau est assez grand, et dans le cas de NRN, lorsqu'on a 40 universités, on peut imaginer qu'il y a 40 routeurs et les switches, on ne les compte pas. Alors donc la technologie SDN va diminuer le plan du travail du routeur. Donc, donc là, les routeurs qui avaient ces 3 plans de fonction n'auront qu'un seul plan. Ils n'auront que le rôle de transférer des données d'un routeur à l'autre. Donc ils deviennent en quelque sorte des switches, qu'on appelle des switches open flow. Et donc les 3 plans sont toujours présents. On a le plan d'application, il y a le plan du contrôleur et il y a le plan d'acheminement des données. Cela permet de désengorger les routeurs et les rendre encore plus performants. Alors donc ici je vais expliquer brièvement le comportement du protocole de base de cette technologie. Quand on parle de SDN, on parle forcément de Open Flow, le protocole qui permet, qui est l'interface du moins entre les switches Open Flow et le contrôleur. Alors le Open Flow a une table de flux, c'est-à-dire lorsque des données sont transférées pour la première fois sur le switch, alors le switch ne sachant pas que faire, demande au contrôleur le comportement à tenir. Quelle action je vais faire? J'ai un nouveau paquet. Le contrôleur va interroger. Là, je vais passer au slide ici. Alors, le contrôleur va passer directement aux applications, qui sont souvent des serveurs, dans notre cas ici, les serveurs VPN, les serveurs DHCP et autres, qui vont lui dire, bon, ce paquet, il faut l'amener au switch suivant à travers un message qu'on appelle message paquet out. Alors le message que le switch envoie au contrôleur, on appelle ce message le message in. Alors donc, lorsque le contrôleur donne l'action à faire, les paquets seront acheminés sur différents switches jusqu'au niveau des serveurs où l'utilisateur pourra avoir accès aux données. Donc ici, en utilisant cette technologie dans le cas des NRN, nous voyons ici que nous avons 3 NRN. Il y a le NRN1, le NRN2 et le NRN3. Alors ces NRN sont dans différents réseaux, je suppose dans le cloud, comme c'est présenté dans le schéma. Et lorsque par exemple je suis au Sénégal, je me trouve à l'U4, je suis un nomade, parce qu'on ne me connaît pas à l'U4, je suis obligé de travailler dans le réseau Internet. Or, au niveau du WACREN, il y a le projet de création d'un réseau régional. Donc il faut penser à agréger tout ce réseau pour que n'importe où les utilisateurs se trouvent, que ce soit enseignants, chercheurs ou étudiants, nous soyons comme chez nous, dans le cadre du réseau. Alors donc ici, comme je l'ai indiqué, l'utilisateur du NRN1 se trouve dans le NRN2. Il n'est plus dans son réseau, donc il n'a plus accès au réseau, aux données sensibles de son réseau local. Donc du coup, il est obligé de travailler dans l'Internet. Il peut travailler également sur un serveur VPN qui a été construit par l'administrateur de son réseau local. Mais encore là, s'il y a des calculs à faire sur, par exemple, les gros calculateurs, il peut avoir des soucis, comme nos camarades de l'université Gaston Berger qui allait en France et venir. Alors donc ici, le protocole OpenFlow et la technologie SDN qui est basée sur le contrôleur et les 3 plans de contrôle, on va essayer de voir comment utiliser tout cela pour connecter directement quelqu'un qui n'est pas dans son réseau et qui a un annuaire qui est déjà prêt dans le cadre de WACREN pour pouvoir se connecter dans une NRN, du moins à travers une NRN dans son réseau local depuis un autre pays. Donc ici, comme je l'ai dit, l'utilisateur nomade va envoyer ses données sur le suivi. Excusez, je suis obligé de... Voilà. Voilà. L'utilisateur ici va envoyer ses données. Il n'arrive pas à contrôler. Voilà. Il va envoyer ses données ici pour faire une demande de création de VPN. Et dans le cas du SDN, ce message va être pris en compte par le switch qui va demander au plan de contrôle qu'il y a un utilisateur qui veut se connecter sur les données du cloud qui se trouve à gauche dans le schéma. Et évidemment, le contrôleur va essayer de voir le serveur VPN qui a déjà été configuré pour créer ce VPN, et le serveur va lui donner la réponse, et cette réponse sera traduite par un packet out au switch qui lui va envoyer les données d'authentification, parce que c'est ce que le serveur va demander. Il va demander de s'authentifier, et lorsqu'il va s'authentifier, automatiquement automatiquement le paquet va revenir sur le switch, et le switch va dire bon, il s'est authentifié, et les données vont retourner encore sur le plan de contrôle qui vont vérifier l'authentification. Si c'est fait, bon, le tunnel est créé, du moins sur le premier switch, et il a automatiquement, à travers le VPN, une adresse IP virtuelle de son réseau local, et il travaille dans une autre NRN comme s'il était dans son pays. Et ici, il a accès aux données directement du cloud ou de son NRN d'origine. Ici, j'ai mis la politique interne parce que là aussi, il y aura des authentifications à faire. Et ces authentifications seront basées sur la politique interne. Si c'est un étudiant, il n'a pas droit à n'importe quelle donnée. Il aura droit seulement aux données qui sont configurées dans son pays par rapport à son profil et dans les paramètres du LDAP. Donc ici, l'utilisateur qui se trouve n'importe où doit, par exemple, dans le premier cas, avoir accès aux données en étant nomade dans un autre réseau. Et le tunnel est créé du NRN2 au NRN1. Bon, si on remarque bien le schéma, j'ai agrégé tout le réseau. C'est-à-dire ici, on est dans le cadre du réseau WACREN général et global qui prend de l'Afrique de l'Ouest jusqu'à l'Afrique centrale. Alors ce réseau est possible si évidemment l'annuaire est connu du WACREN. Il y a une annuaire unique basée sur le SSO pour ne pas que chaque application utilisée par l'utilisateur, cette application demande des authentifications à l'infini. Donc une seule authentification peut suffire. Alors donc pour conclure, je dirais que si j'ai essayé de résumer quand même toute la technologie SDN, alors le cloud computing ici est une solution pour les pays n'ayant pas les moyens de créer et entretenir une infrastructure d'envergure nationale. Et la remarque, c'est que même si le réseau existe, souvent il y a des moyens, les moyens ne suffisent pas pour l'entretenir. Il y a souvent des coupures de câbles et autres, et c'est souvent pas facile. Alors la technologie SDN s'intègre facilement dans la gestion et la maîtrise de l'administration d'un réseau hautement virtualisé, tel que celui du cloud. Le réseau WACREN est une opportunité régionale ayant de nombreuses potentialités. Donc on a une communauté de chercheurs. On pourra, à travers le réseau WACREN, créer ce qu'on appelle dans le cadre francophone les unités mixtes de travail, où des mathématiciens, des physiciens et des médecins travaillent ensemble. Et il y a également des communautés d'éducation. Cela va dans la mutualisation des données FOID, des données MOOC, et la mobilité LMD pour permettre le travail n'importe où dans la zone WACREN. Il y a également les travaux collaboratifs entre l'administration pour échange et mobilité des étudiants. L'accès aux grands calculateurs de données complexes, on pourra mettre 2 ou 3 grands calculateurs, peut-être plus, dans un pays que NOC, qui pourra y être utilisé avec des codages parallèles sur clusters distants. Pour réaliser tous ces défis, il faut unifier les annuaires des NRN, utiliser l'authentification SSO pour faciliter le travail aux nomades, c'est-à-dire les enseignants qui se promènent dans les NL. Et le nomadisme sera utilisé pour l'Internet et les autres réseaux non connectés au WACREN. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. I hope you have a question. So if there's any question you'd like to hear now. Okay, well, all right, well, since we are really pressed with time, I think we should thank Issa for being very clear in his explanations of cloud computing. So thank you very much. Okay, I think the next is to address the issue of sponsors minutes. So if Sonatel is around, we'll appreciate if they will come to the front and say a few words. Sonatel. Orange Business Service? Oh, Orange Business Service.
So we confirm the...
Okay, all right. So anyway, I thank you, the audience, and also our panelists. I think we've seen a very wide spectrum from communication strategy to user evaluation that will help you advance your network, network applications, meteorology, and the cloud. So thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to start.
Yeah, I'm just calling.
Oh, okay. So well, thank you very much. And for those who ask questions, please approach Manuella, our rapporteur, so that she can get our names correctly. So thank you very much for your attention. Welcome to our closing session. We intend it to be very brief. But fortunately, we have two very important colleagues that will say a few words. The first will be from Kudia. So, welcome, Kudia.
Thank you, Anthony. Nous voilà donc au terme de ces ateliers et de la conférence WACREN 2016. Donc, en l'absence du professeur Oluwagbemiga qui n'est pas sur place, je voudrais adresser donc nos remerciements à tous les participants au nom du SMR, à tous les participants qui ont voulu faire le déplacement. Nous espérons que vous avez aimé donc d'avoir participé à ces rencontres-là et que vous avez eu l'occasion de faire du réseautage humain au-delà donc des aspects techniques que vous avez eu à apprendre. Donc nous pensons que voilà, cet après-midi donc nous sommes disponibles donc à vous accompagner, donc découvrir un peu Dakar pour un peu sortir de cet environnement de conférences techniques. Donc voilà, donc nous vous remercions encore une fois d'avoir fait le déplacement sur Dakar et donc je repasse la parole au docteur. Merci.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask the Director General to say a few words.
Merci beaucoup, cher. Nous voilà donc au terme d'une semaine bien chargée, je pense. Mais je pense également que ça valait la peine de venir à Dakar pour la conférence WACREN 2016. Comme vous le savez, nous avions démarré avec des ateliers techniques, lundi, mardi, mercredi. Et nous avons depuis hier, je pense, entendu des présentations très très intéressantes. Et nous vous remercions vraiment d'avoir fait le déplacement pour venir à Dakar. Parce que sans vous, il n'y a pas de conférence. Donc nous vous remercions tous d'avoir répondu à notre invitation. Nous remercions également les présentateurs, parce que sans présentateurs, il n'y a pas de conférence non plus. Nos partenaires qui nous ont soutenus pendant plusieurs mois pour préparer cet événement. Et I would also like to thank everybody who really has supported us, here locally, to organize this event. First of all, the government of Senegal, through the Ministry of Higher Education and Research, and to Praise Puja, the minister, that we are very grateful that Senegal has attempted to host this event. We want to thank SMR, for the support to organize this, and also UKDZ, the IT Directorate of the University of Cambridge, and especially with the team that you, Kuja, have led for the setup and for the preparations, and of course the director and the coordinator of SNR, Dr. Abram. Please convey our gratitude to them. We also like to thank our sponsors, because organizing this is not easy. It requires a lot of resources, and without the sponsors, it would have been very difficult, to organize this. And we want to thank Africa Connect 2 Project, our platinum sponsor. We want to thank Exxon, our gold sponsor, and also our silver sponsors, Cisco, Main One, Thomson Reuters. I want to thank our bronze sponsors, CDP UCAT, CEA MITIC, ICANN, NIC Senegal, and ISOC. And I would also would like to add that ISOC has also supported us to provide the necessary infrastructure to have the live streaming of the conference. So thank you very much for this too. Unfortunately, Orange Business Service Senegal at least is not present, but I do think that you have enjoyed the connectivity they have provided. So please, Fujan, convey our gratitude to Orange Business Service too. And we spoke about technical workshops that we have Monday and Tuesday. This wouldn't have been possible, it's easy to organize without GEANT and NSRC, who have joined our teams, to organize, these workshops. So thank you also to these training sponsors. We've also got contribution from Layer 3. So thank you very much, Layer 3, for this. So we also had a team led by Nick Senegal and Astu and her team for the secretariat, for directing people, Nick Senegal, Astu's team and students. So thank you very much for the support. And we also like to thank the hotels, Novotel, Ibis, Nina, and of course also the catering services, especially here in Novotel. So the people without whom it will be very difficult, in the multilingual environment, to understand each other, during the plenary sessions. So Mr. Nyao, Sambaya and team, interpreters, so thank you very much. Last but not least, the WACREN team, Ms. Omo, Alain, Davy, so we thank you very much. We know you have worked hard before the conference, during the conference, having very short nights. So thank you for the work well done. And we do hope, as Okoja said, that we will find some time to enjoy Dakar a bit. This afternoon we will be having the WACREN AGM. If you are interested, you are welcome to attend. And we would also like to inform the potential providers to the Africa Connect 2 project, who we have invited to give some kind of information about the project, about our expectations, and about the procurement process. That the information day will be held tomorrow from 9 a.m. in this room. So you are invited. We will be sending an email. But from those of you who are around, you are invited to attend tomorrow at 9. So these are, the companies who we have sent, invitation for the information day tomorrow from 9. We do hope to see you next year around the same time, on the 16th and 17th of March, 2017. The city will be revealed later, so we cannot tell you where it will be, but it will be soon announced. So thank you very much all for your attendance. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your understanding, for eventual shortcomings. But we do hope that next time, if there were any shortcomings, next time we will do better. Thank you very much.
I guess with that, we come to the end of WACREN 2016, and I say a big congratulations for such a successful meeting, and I wish you all safe journey back wherever you will be going. So thank you.
So bon appétit.
Merci. Merci.
How we doing?